Not Forsaken Book is a compilation of African information for the use of the next generation to know where they are coming from and the need to also understand the destination in order to be reformed on the legacy of African ancestors. Furthermore, he urged Africans to read as a way to find a lasting solution to Africans' problem.
Them where they are going or where they are to go. Yeah, so that's the main reason. Yeah, I've done 208 pages aside the prologue. The prologue alone is 8 pages, and of course that is not the number. So the numbered pages are 208. Basically, I actually try to evoke the past to inform the future, and basically the past is the ancestors. Like you've heard in during the panel discussion, I try to compare the gun and the pen, making the pen to represent our current system, party politics, our socio-cultural systems, and how we feel about it, whether we are happy or not. But as it is, if you're a Ghanaian or African, one way or the other you find way in the book. And so the gun also stands for the bravery of our ancestors, the indigenous knowledge, how they solved issues in the past. And I believe that most of the issues we are confronted with then cannot find solutions to them. And I'm saying that we should reinforce the legacies of our ancestors. If we must go somewhere, then that is what we must do. We can all see that we have come to a stagnation. Our developmental process and everything is pointing that we've come to a stagnation. As we know, as Ghanaians, we know this for a fact. And so if we must go forward, then we need to reconnect where we have lost it. And from there we can spring up using the ancestral and the indigenous knowledge as a base for our development. We should go faster than we are today. So a community that is not reading is actually bound not to go far, because there are so many things eluding us. I mean, as a young person, if for a whole year you cannot pinpoint a book that you have read from cover to cover, I tell you that you're in trouble. Because what information are you feeding on? Especially as journalists, if you're not reading, what kind of journalist will you be? Are you peddling street information? Okay, so I think the way forward is to be reading. African, we must read. We must read and make sure we read again. Until then, we cannot find our bearing. Because there are a lot of things in books that we just walk over them, we don't consider, and that's why we are here. If we are reading, we will find options to our situation. But because we are not reading, we don't have the options. We are sort of blockheaded and thinking in one direction, so we can easily be indoctrinated. But when we are reading, our mind become very fluid, and we can have options to our developmental process. So reading is important, and so we keep writing. As we read, as we have the inspiration, we keep doing it until it is time to give up and leave. Yeah, so we are doing till we exit. I'll be churning out similar works. I've just started a Not Forsaken series, and so we want to see how that turns out to be. Yes, so there are plans. I plan to release a book each year. Yeah, I plan as much as the strength is there. I plan to release a book each year. Yeah,
Ishmael is a shining example of a next generation of people that say, let's know our worth, and let's take seriously our sovereignty, and let's behave with a sense of stewardship. Bring our conversation that knowledge is not only found in books, because in Ghana there are ways in which people have been codifying knowledge and wisdom, such as in drumming, in storytelling, the use of proverbs, and dancing. And so in addition to books, which rely on Western type of literacy, we need also to gain knowledge from the elderly who live with us. So sources of knowledge are more than what is written in a book. People that have lived worthy of emulation, when they die physically, are often accorded the status of ancestor. And then there are those that are wise and live morally upright lives. And so they become living ancestors even before they die. And so ancestral veneration, that I call veneration, people have classified that as ancestral worship. That's not what people do. It is a way of acknowledging the significance of the ancestors who have been shaping our lives. Even when they are not physically with us, they and what they taught us are values, stories, proverbs, messages that help us order our lives. That to me is why ancestors are very important. Ancestors and their roles were described in some negative ways, and so there are many Ghanaians that prefer to pray to Saint Jude or Christopher or somebody else instead of acknowledging the worth and the contributions of their own
What we
ancestors.
need to do is to start re-educating ourselves. We need to retrack who we were before we are. Our ancestors, our cultures, our values, where we come from. We come from very rich cultures which has built so many things that today even science cannot explain. And these were our ancestors. There were a lot of developments that were built by our ancestors that today are not recognized simply because they were not created by certain people. So we as people, we need to reenact and find ourselves and find our center. And our center is our ancestors. I'm making an example. Just one African ancestor, talking about Baba Kwame Nkrumah. There are certain things that he has spoken about in terms of developing Africa. If you recall, the very black star that you have in Africa, when Baba Nkrumah put it there on your flag, he said, if the whole of Africa is not yet free, Ghana is not fully free. That was a message from an ancestor. And what are we doing today with what one of our ancestors had said about the development of Africa? This is what I am talking to. We can talk about the great pyramids. Who built them? How did they build them? The people who built them must have had a certain methods and science and measurements to be able to build those pyramids. And is that captured and documented accordingly as African ingenuity? No. But we are told about other things and other developments. There are so many developments in the Western world, things that were discovered by African people, but today they are masked through other names, through patent and.